Hello, my name is Bob Jakes. I'm with Yes Reports. I am the publisher of Yes Reports, and I am pleased to have Brian Melendez here on our Friday interview. Brian, who are you with?
So my name's Brian. I own a digital marketing agency based out of Southington called Keep Up Marketing Agency, where we help business owners basically acquire customers through online platforms like Facebook, Google, YouTube, etc.
So you're what they refer to as a digital marketing agency?
Exactly, yes.
Cool. Well, I made some neat slides over here. Let's put them up. Okay, so I got the first one here. Now you're in Southington, and Southington is in Southington, Connecticut, right?
Yes.
And Southington, out of Southington, Connecticut, you're able to service clients from all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple people in Australia. We have quite a few people in Canada. We have different people around the U.S. We got one guy in India. So we definitely have a wide range of different people. Some of the people that I mentioned from Canada and Australia, a couple of those are for consulting, but I still consider them clients, no different than if they paid me for digital marketing services.
Okay, cool. So let's read this slide. Your name of the company the name of your company is Keep Up Marketing, and on your website, the name Keep Up Marketing originated from our primary goal of keeping our clients up to date with the constantly changing world of online advertising. What's that mean?
So basically, a lot of people, if you do any kind of digital marketing on your own, or you have for, let's say, over a year or so, you're going to notice the platforms change significantly. So just from last year, Facebook already changed, certain aspects of how the back end looks when you're in the business manager, basically how it looks when you're placing the ads. Google and YouTube are always changing different things. So there's always a lot of different changes that are happening. And if there's a business owner who learned Facebook ads last year, they might go into the platform and be confused as to how to do it, how to use it this year, because just from the way that they switched the designs and some of the features. So, that's just a small part of it. But, there's a lot more that happens when these businesses like Facebook and Google and YouTube, technically Google owns YouTube, but when these businesses are growing, they're constantly changing things, and they don't necessarily care so much about us caring if the design, they just want to optimize for better performance. But there are things like Facebook Blueprint and stuff like that they basically put out for users to go over. But a lot of that stuff is reading. So a lot of people don't want to read, 200 pages. Like I have a guy who does Google ads for me, and he's been through almost 200 pages of Google Sheets, basically stuff from Google that trains on different things on how to optimize your Google ads and whatnot. So a lot of people don't really want to do that. They'll buy one or two courses based off, somebody that made a YouTube ad or a Facebook ad, and then they'll say, okay, now I know how to do it, instead of really researching and understanding things. So there's a constantly changing world of digital marketing, and everything's always changing on a regular basis. So I aim to help people keep up with that change, because obviously, as you know, business owners have a lot to deal with between employees, sales, running the business. So, we try to make it our job to keep up with the changes and help them navigate through it.
It's become kind of like a specialty these days, hasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely has.
They're constantly changing, and once you think you got it, they change it again. I wonder if they do that on purpose.
Yeah, no, I actually thought that before too. They do that kind of to mess with everybody.
Well, they sure do. Well, thank God there are people out there like you who have decided to focus their energies on that industry and can help people out. Look, I made another nifty slide here from your website, and you have a great website, by the way. What's the address of your website?
Keepupmarketingagency.com.
Keepupmarketingagency.com. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Off your website, it says what we do to develop personalized strategies and solutions for businesses to upscale their online presence and achieve their marketing goals.
Yeah, for the
Okay.
most part, yeah, that's basically what we do. We help. So a lot of like you'll see a lot of like marketers, and I never talk about any specific company or any specific people, but you'll find a lot of marketers, they'll go into a meeting and they'll try to be like, okay, well, let's just do some Facebook ads or whatever the case may be, but they don't actually see, all right, what is this company's problems? What have they tried? What are their goals? What platform would work best for this industry? Because you have a lot of different industries that would be better on Google instead of Facebook, and same thing vice versa. You're likely not going to be marketing a Mexican restaurant with Google AdWords. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a big difference on how you use these platforms, and you really have to be able to understand who your customer is, basically your client, and then basically say, okay, well, this would work for this, but not for that. So there's quite a few clients that we don't work with anymore because it's just so much work to get them the type of results that they need to be able to afford our fees. So we're very specific about who we try to work with nowadays.
What kind of industry is best marriage for you and them?
Well, really high ticket industries, because if you're working with, let's say, a lawyer or let's say dentist, roofers, these type of people, you can make them, a few sales and they'll be happy throughout the month. Let's say you make them 4 or 5 sales, like let's say you get 3 sets of braces and a few teeth pulled, that's probably a pretty good amount of money for a dentist. Or you get a roofer, 4 or 5 roofing jobs throughout a month, they're going to be very happy as well. They're going to have no problem paying you 1,000 or 1,500 a month plus ad spend. So you really have to be able to focus on higher ticket niches. I know there's a lot of people who still work with restaurants. I used to be one of the people who worked with like restaurants. I actually had a bunch of gyms at one point, but we found, you have to get them so many sales. Like think about it. If it's a gym that's only charging, even say $30 a month, how many sales do you have to be able to get them for them to be profitable after you charge them, let's say, only 1,000 a month and then $1,000 ad spend? That's already $2,000 they're in the hole, and you have to make them probably 4,000 or whatever the case may be for them to be profitable. Because even if you make them the 2,000 back, it doesn't mean that was all profit. So understanding that and what you have to do to basically get these results for people is a really big game changer for digital marketing. I'm not saying working with gyms and restaurants is necessarily a bad idea for anybody, but it all depends on what your business model is, what type of results you have, and how much you're charging. Because it's not as easy to get 100 people into a restaurant off of even $1,000 ad spend. So you really have to either know what you're doing with that specific industry and be very specific, or you're going to want to work with very high ticket industries so you can get them the results.
So, would you say like a replacement window company would be a good client for you?
I'd have to ask a little bit more. I don't know too much about replacement windows, but if it was a full like contracting company that did like windows and doors and all that other kind of stuff, I would say so. I'm not sure what the charge is to replace a window. I don't know what their profit margin is on the actual window or the replacement of it. So I'd really have to evaluate that first, because I always try to make sure that, if we get X amount of sales for this person, then they'll make X amount of dollars. Because, when I was first starting, I had, plenty of different clients, and I would be like, okay, I made you this much money, it was more than what you paid me. And they're like, yeah, but you have to understand profit and this and that. So I learned a lot along the way. And although I understood they weren't making maybe as much profit, what I was trying to get them to understand is the lifetime value of the customer. So for instance, with a restaurant owner, if you bring in, let's say, 25, 30 people into a restaurant that actually come in, not just entered their information, people that actually come into the restaurant, and they bring 1 or 2 people, because most people don't dine alone, you're not only just making that sale for 50 or 60 bucks at the dinner table. If you do a good job, you might have a lifelong customer. The average, they say at least, the average lifetime value of a customer in the restaurant industry is between 4 and 7 years. People find a new restaurant, they move, whatever the case may be. So you really have to account for the lifetime value of the customer, and also, the actual tangible assets that you end up acquiring for them, like phone numbers, emails. And when you build up a strong enough email and phone number list, so let's say it's a restaurant, we acquire them 10,000 emails over the course of, let's say, a year or 2 years. And at that end of that time, you have 10,000 emails. Think about it like this. If we're in Bristol, Connecticut, and we have emails from people in Southington, Plainville, Wolcott, all the surrounding towns, what's going to happen when you shoot out, let's say, 10,000 emails emails, 10,000 texts to all these people. Your restaurant's likely going to be flooded that day with, people trying to take you up on that offer. Even if only 100 people take you up on that offer that day out of that 10,000, that's what, like 1% or something like that. It's just an insane amount of profit. But a lot of business owners don't, at least smaller business owners, don't have the funds to basically be able to afford something for such a long-term deal. They want results now. They want to be making profit now because, it's understandable. They have food costs, rent, employees, insurance, all these other costs. So they may not be able to afford your services for a year or two while you build up an email and phone number list. So that's why we try to really be specific about who we work with nowadays.
Okay, that makes sense. Off your website, here's another thing I got. On your website, there's a listing of different services you're able to do. Mm-hmm. Consulting, web development, graphic design, video production, email marketing, Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, SMS ads, ClickFunnels, chatbot. Mm-hmm. Brian, pick one of these services and let's talk about it. And just so the folks out there know, we're going to do 2 or 3 videos in total, Brian and I, probably release them once a week, and we're going to talk about these other services. So which one of these services you want to talk about on today's episode?
I think the one that would possibly bring people some of the most value, because everybody knows about Facebook ads. Most people know about Google ads, but one thing that I see a lot of business owners don't really keep up with is their website. And I think that it's more important than ever in the time that we're in right now, only because what people have to understand is what people do when they're home, when they can't go out in quarantine, is basically they're online. And if they want to go to your business when it is open for pickup or whatever the case may be, what are they going to do? They're going to go to your website. They can't go into the store. So if they look at your website and then your website is not great at all because you made it 4 or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or you just had somebody make it a year ago and it just looks subpar, but then you have John's business down the road or in the next town over and their website is great. It's, has great pricing, all the information, the design is phenomenal. Who do you think they're going to go with? Do you think they're going to go with you just because you're local, or they're going to go with somebody that has a higher quality of service, better pricing, or whatever the case may be? So I think websites is actually one of the biggest things that business owners sleep on right now, because, we could talk about Facebook and Google all day, but I wanted to just mention websites because, there's so much that you can do with websites, like installing a pixel on your website and basically retargeting people who have been to your website with ads. So if you're getting people from Facebook or Google searches and they go to your website, you can retarget them with ads. I'm sure everybody's been retargeted from typing something in or going to a website. You type something in, next thing you know, you see it on Facebook. So that's super powerful. Of course, you got, messenger bots being able to reply to people as soon as they're on your website, capture pages. You want to make sure your message on your website really speaks to the people who are on there. The design should be good. So there's a lot of different elements to a website that a lot of business owners either don't know about or they just don't care about. They're like, oh, just make me a website, and then they just forget about it after that and they go on with their business. But a website is basically a sales machine for you. It's basically your salesperson when you're not there. So if your website has a poor design, I'm not saying you won't make any sales or get any leads, but you're going to have a much higher conversion rate if you have all of these different elements optimized on your website.
Okay, cool. So now, Brian, in one of our, we're going long right now. So in one of our next episodes, we're going to talk about email marketing, Google ads, Facebook ads, and YouTube ads.
Yeah, great.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So audience, Yes Reports audience, come back, hit the subscribe button so you'll get a notification when we come out with another video. Give us a thumbs up for our efforts. We appreciate it. Share this out with your friends. We're going to have Brian Melendez back with us in the near future. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. And Brian's going to talk about Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads. He's even going to talk about SMS ads. I had to actually look that up this morning, Brian. I didn't know what that was. But Brian, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it. Everybody, please like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate you. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks.